Heather. I work at Puyallup Public Library and I do our graphics and social media. And one thing that I also do in my free time is I do a lot of drawing. So I thought it would be kind of fun to bring you some short drawing tutorials online while we are sitting some of this stuff out. Uh, so you can start whether you are advanced or just beginning drawing. It'll be fun no matter what level you're at. So join me for some fun doodles. We'll start simple and we might go a little bit more advanced as we go on. But let's see what we can do and let's have some fun. Thanks.
Okay, let's get started. Today we're going to be drawing some cherry blossoms. I thought for spring it might be a nice thing to start with. So for right now, I'm going to start drawing with a blue pencil. Now, what this is for is to draw a very light version of what we're going to be drawing first. Now, if you're using a pencil, you'll want to draw very lightly because we're going to be going over the more important lines later and you'll want to be able to erase those. So my best tip is to never draw super hard because it can create some problems for you later. So what the blue that I'm using is what we call a non-photo blue. It used to be used a lot when they did printing. People would go over a lot of things with this, and so then when they would go to reproduce it, it would not show up. So let's get started. So to do a cherry blossom, what I learned is one of the best ways to balance things out first thing is to draw a star. So draw a star very lightly, however you draw stars. I always start from the left myself. And you'll see I'm not using perfect lines or anything. It doesn't matter when you're doing these initial things here. So I'm just going to draw my star here, just really roughly. There you go. So that'll be used to kind of balance out where our petals are going to go. So, and then with the same pencil, I'm going to go in and I'm going to start doing my circles for where my cherry blossom petals are going to go. So I'm going to start at the top here, and then I'm going to go to the base. Oops. It's okay to make mistakes here. So as you can see, I'm just following along this middle line here. We're going to go up to the end here, and then we just want the circles to barely touch at the base. And you don't have to limit yourself to cherry blossoms with this. If you can use this on basically any 5-petal flower. So my star's a little bit short here. It's not perfectly even, so I'm just going to compensate a little bit on this side, make it a little bigger. Okay. So, and as you know in nature, things usually aren't perfectly symmetrical. So if it's a little bit off, it's totally okay. So, all right, so I've got the base of my cherry blossom started. Now, if you look at true cherry blossoms, they have the cutest little divot in the ends of the petal. And that's one of my favorite things about cherry blossoms. It's very unique to them. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw another circle, but a really small one, up at the ends here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm working digitally, so I'm going to use a new layer. But what you'll want to do is you'll want to go in with either a pen, or now you can go in with like a darker pencil, or just press a little bit harder if you want. What I'm going to do, here we go, I've got a new layer here. So, okay, so now I'm going to go to a new color here. Why don't I pick, how about like a dark right here for the cherry blossoms. So this would be like if you're going in with a black pen or anything like that. but for the purpose of this, it just makes things a little bit easier to see. So now with my darker color, I'm going to go in and very carefully go here. So you see that I didn't go around to the full end of the circle because we've got kind of a U shape going on with the petals here. So now I'm going to continue on. And I'm going to end just a little bit above, you see this corner right here, just so it barely connects to the next petal. And I'm going to go on, and go through that divot again, back around, connect my line here. And this is kind of a stylized version of cherry blossom. This isn't going to be like botanically correct, I guess you could say. We're just having some fun. Oops. Yeah. Sometimes when you do digital drawing so much, when you go back to drawing regular, you I don't know if this is true for other people, but I actually mentally will tell myself undo because that's what you do in Photoshop or any other drawing program to delete a line instead of erasing. So that's when you know you've been doing it a lot. Okay, so I've got my basic outline here. Let's see what it looks like without. Okay, it's all right. Not perfect, but you know. So I just turned back on my guideline. Don't quite erase your other lines yet because we're still going to use that. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to draw the center of the cherry blossom, the stamens and all that. So what I like to do is I like to do one, I don't know, it's not really a bud, but it's the end of the stamen. I like to do one at the base of each cherry blossom petal. You'll see I'm just using the end of that as a guide. Again, not perfect, but that's okay. So I've got 5 of those right now. And then you can kind of vary where else you're going to want these. So I like to do some a little further out. Right here, here, here. And then I always like to do one in the center. And that's just me. Okay, so now we're going to do the stamens in the center. They're going to connect from this middle circle to the outside circles here. You can do those a little bit curved if you want. All right, so now we basically have our cherry blossom. You can go in and erase your blue lines there or your base pencil there. You can go in and do touch-ups if you want. I think I will erase a few of my lines here that were a little bit rough. All right, so now, so basically this blossom here is going to be your inked lines. I know a lot of people are afraid of inking things when they go over their pencils, just because it can really change the character of something when you do that. But one thing that I learned when I actually didn't like inking at first was I read something somewhere that someone said they believed it breathed life into their drawing, and somehow that just kind of made it click for me, and now I really enjoy inking. All right, so I'm just cleaning that up a little bit. I'm going to do a new layer here. I'm going to put it below my other. I know that's not really going to make sense if you're doing this by hand, but that's okay. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to pick a really pretty pink here. And so now I'm just going to paint my blossom. Now you can do this with markers if you want, colored pencils, whatever you like. I'm going to use a watercolor brush because it makes it kind of cool. Let me enlarge my brush a little bit here. I'm just going to go in. And you'll see this brush kind of makes things look a little bit uneven, and I kind of like that because it gives it exactly what it says. It gives it a watercolor look. So if you know me, I am a cherry blossom fanatic. I went to Japan to see them very specifically. I like to go see them at the UW every year if I can. I just I love these things. I have them decorated everywhere where I live, on my walls, just okay. So cherry blossom stamens are usually yellow. So I'm going to do a little bit of yellow, but I'm going to pick like kind of a pastel yellow. Nothing too intense. What did I do here? Okay. Okay. Color these in however you see fit. You know, you don't have to stick to pink for a cherry blossom. You can do whatever you want. In nature, cherry blossoms are usually pink or white, but you know, do whatever makes you happy. Okay, so that is about the base of our cherry blossom. Now, if we want to mix things up, let's see what layer am I on. Well, that's kind of cool. Okay, so you might want a little bit of variation to your cherry blossoms. So maybe you want to do a bud. You know, and buds are super simple. They're usually just circles. Oops, what layer am I on? I don't want to put this on there. Never mind. So cherry blossom buds are generally just pretty round. Sometimes you can see a little bit of the leaf or the petals kind of starting. And then they've got their little starter leaves here. I don't know. So one cool thing about cherry blossoms that you might not know is they are actually part of the rose family, which I found out. I thought that was really interesting because I also love roses. Okay, so that's about it for the bud. Let me just do a little bit of an outline here. Oops. So I like to make it a little bit of a rough edge at the end there because that's where the ends of the petals are going to be. Whoops. Not Stamens. Okay. Let's turn that off. Okay. A little rough, but you know. All right, and then I want to show you kind of like a half open petal or one from the side. You'll kind of want to mix it up. And you'll see here, I'm kind of switching between different types of brushes in this, just because uh, it gives me kind of a different effect. As you saw, you know, this one, the main cherry blossom we did here had a watercolor effect with the paintbrush. But you won't have to worry about that if you're just working with a pencil and paper or pen. Okay. I want it to be on this layer. Here we go. Okay. So now we're going to do a side-facing blossom. The best thing to do for that is basically start with a fan. And if you haven't done much art before, one of the things that we always do is we start with basic shapes to kind of guide us. Now, you don't have to do that. That's not a strict rule, but it does help. Okay, so I've kind of got like a basic, like a fan shape here. Um, because if you hold a blossom from the side, that's kind of what you're going to get is you're going to get a fan shape. So as our guide, I'm going to draw one full petal in the center here. Whoops. And then I'm going to use that center one to kind of as a guide to where I start. So I kind of not fully halfway down, but maybe about half, like quarter of the way down or a third. So start from there and then kind of go to the end of your fan there. And then do that on the other side. And then I'm just going to draw in our little divot here. And since this is only from the side, you're only going to see half of that each side. And then again, like the bud, we're going to go in and we're going to do those little starter branches that we get there. That's our stem. All right, so let's go in with the ink. So we're going to go in. And we're just outlining carefully. Oops. Oh, I went rogue. Okay, hold on. Okay, so there's the base of our petal, and I'm just going to outline our little stems here. Okay, so now we can turn that off. And I've got a little bit to clean up there. As you can see, you won't be drawing any of the center stamens in here because the petals basically cover that up. Are our worst critics, right? Okay, I'm a little happier with that. I'm gonna go in, just do some nice pink. One thing I like to work with a lot when I'm drawing with a piece of paper is after I've done my lines, what I like to color in with is Copic markers. It's what a lot of people in Japan use for comics and other things. That's one of the things I like to do is I like to draw comics. So that's kind of how I got into those. What's nice about Copic markers is they kind of give you the same effect, what you're seeing here on the screen. They're almost, it's almost like a fine point watercolor. All right, why don't we get a little bit of green? Maybe a little more yellow. I'm just gonna go, ooh, why am I blue? Nope, not blue. Here we go. just coloring in here. I mean, I'm on a different layer, so it shouldn't mess with the ink lines, but if you're doing this by hand, again, that won't matter. Because if you're using watercolor on an ink line or a marker, what the cool thing is that because they are different, they have different bases, the watercolor or the marker should not run with your ink lines. Now, of course, you don't have to worry about that if you're using colored pencil or crayons or anything like that. Okay, so there's basic blossoms. You can see that I prepared some ahead of time here. Once you've drawn a few of these, you can do them whatever order you want sporadically. Cherry blossoms tend to grow in bunches, so you can do that if you want. But after you've gotten to this point where you've got a few on your board here or your paper, you can go in and we're going to connect them all onto a branch. Let's get a little bit brown here. Maybe a little darker. Okay. So we're going to kind of do this freestyle here. So cherry blossom branches tend to be thicker at the base and then they get thinner as you go. So I'm going to be going from this upper right direction to the lower left. So I'm just kind of going to go in. If you're drawing this with a pencil, so I'm going to go in. I know this looks kind of scary right now, but it will be better later. Okay, got that. So again, they're a little bit rough. The branches, they're kind of bumpy, kind of lumpy. So we don't need to have the biggest part of this connecting to each of these because they have little branches that come out. I'm going to draw another branch coming out. Maybe we see it connecting between these two. It ends here. How about one here? Maybe this will connect here. And maybe this guy will get one here. So my drawing right here doesn't have any side blossoms or buds, but it would really fill it in. The more blossoms, personally, I like, the better. But you can do as many or as few as you want. But that is our basic cherry blossom tree branch. I might go in later and add a few other flowers, but that is basically it. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love to hear what you thought. If you have any thoughts about what you would like to draw later on in future videos, I'd love to hear that too. I would also love to see your drawings if you want to post those in the comments below. And again, my name is Heather, and I enjoyed drawing with you today. See you later. Take care.